since the Marina Mabry trade, and she has stepped up her game in that shot.
Well, she's definitely taken that golden advice, recently being the first WNBA player that has recorded consecutive points.
Clark with fans everywhere.
You can just feel the buzz and excitement.
Caitlin Clark for Indiana, who has been terrific, the #1 overall pick, who has been packing buildings all across the U.S.
From college sensation to WNBA record breaker, Caitlin Clark's journey is heating up fast. We're breaking down her game-changing triple-double, the Sparks' reaction, and what it means for the league. Stick around to see how Clark went from rookie to rival in one unforgettable night. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. But hold on a second. Clark had to go through hell and back before she became WNBA royalty. How did she transform herself in the span of a few weeks from a shaky beginner to a record-breaking sensation? One would assume that Caitlin Clark, a college powerhouse, would enter the WNBA with an air of effortless dominance. However, as soon as she set foot on the professional court, reality slammed her like a ton of bricks. Instantly, Clark found himself no longer the largest fish in the pond due to the increased speed and tougher players. Those highlight reels from her time at university, you might remember, as the pressures of being a high-profile rookie mounted on Clark, they seem like things of the past. High expectations seemed like they would be overwhelming at first. However, things improved from here on out. Clark, like a true champion, adapted rather than giving in to the pressure. She figured out what the game was about, practiced her weaknesses, and eventually found her stride. At first, it was unclear whether the Indiana Fever's gamble on Clark would pay off. Something did begin to click, though, as the games progressed. A talent that had made Clark a collegiate sensation, her ability to read the floor, started to translate to the professional level. Did you hear of something very crazy? Scoring was no longer the only consideration. Under duress, Clark began to make astute selections, locate open teammates, and even display some board manipulation. She was doing more than simply playing. She was making everyone around her feel better. And suddenly, bang! The Fever began to triumph. Not once, not twice, but 5 times in a succession. It seemed like out of nowhere, the club that gambled on the underperforming rookie suddenly becoming a playoff contender. Thus, what transpired? How did Clark manage to transition from feeling completely overwhelmed to taking charge? Ultimately, it boils down to that elusive basketball IQ. Rather of depending just on natural ability, she studied the game, made adjustments, and discovered new methods to make an effect. The truly intriguing part begins now. Do you recall the triple-double that caused quite a stir? It was more than a coincidence. Weeks of adjusting, working hard, and being resolute paid off. Clark is now a complete threat on the court, able to score, assist, and crash the boards with the ease of a seasoned forward. The other teams are frantically trying to think out a way to stop her now that she's a triple threat. But numbers don't reveal everything. The way Clark has become a part of the Fever's system is what everyone is talking about. She has outgrown her rookie phase and is playing at a higher level. She's acting like a franchise staple, the kind of player the organization can rely on for the long haul. Put yourself in a position where you routinely make the seemingly impossible work. Clark actually did that. The real surprise, though, is that her execution may alter our perception of rookie performances irrevocably. Clark scored 24 points, dished out 10 assists, and grabbed 10 rebounds. That's an incredible triple-double. When applied to the WNBA specifically, such figures are mind-boggling. Particularly for an inexperienced player, they are extremely rare. We're talking about an impressive level of performance that gets coaches and seasoned experts scratching their heads.
Since the Marina Mabry trade, and she has stepped up her game in that opportunity. Caitlin Clark for 3, rattles it around for her first deep.
15 points, 13 assists, 12 rebounds, and a huge win.
Caitlin Clark for Indiana, who has been terrific, the #1 overall pick, who has been packing buildings all across the U.S.
Why is a triple-double so special, you may ask? The key is adaptability, making a 20-plus point score. That is fantastic. Providing 10 assists, very remarkable. Getting 10 boards, rock solid. Doing all 3 in a single game, though, that is really advanced stuff. It depicts a player with the ability to affect the game in every way. Plus, Clark didn't merely try to artificially inflate her stats in order to lose. The Fever defeated the Sparks 93-86, thanks in large part to her outstanding play. She was playing at a high level of intelligence as well as skill. The chess game of professional basketball required strategic moves with every point, assist, and rebound. On the court, Clark is making decisions that are getting a lot of attention. She's not counting on natural ability alone. She has mastered the art of reading the floor and can now predict plays in advance. She seems to have superhuman vision, always detecting her teammates' positions and the defense's weaknesses. Did you hear of something very crazy? Clark is making a fool of himself. Be not deceived though. The game at this level is complex. She has the ability to make split-second decisions that determine the outcome of games due to her lightning-fast processing speed. Furthermore, she is usually correct when she makes a decision. Do you recall our previous discussion about Clark's adjustment to the professional game? She hasn't merely adjusted, she is flourishing, as seen by this triple-double. Her talents, which propelled her to college stardom, have been honed for the WNBA. And what was the outcome? A game so impressive that she is being compared to the league's all-time greats. The worst part is that Clark isn't only becoming one of the privileged. As a rookie in the WNBA, she is changing the game. A triple-double is more than simply a personal record. It sends a message to every team in the league. As the saying goes, the future is here and it's wearing number 22.
There's so many people that are showing up in Fever gear or gear of myself, and so I think it's not something that ever gets old.
Well, she's definitely taken that golden advice, recently being the first WNBA player that has recorded consecutive
Like, I love it. Like, I try to soak in every single environment before the national anthem and really realize how grateful I am.
Put it in your mind, just how often do you see rookies that join the league and start producing numbers that are on par with the veterans? Clark is leading the pack. She isn't merely keeping up, she's making first-year players work harder than ever. Now, let's get into the topic of that it element. You know, that one quality that makes certain players better than others. It's abundant in Clark. It's more than only her stats. It's in the way she boosts her team's performance, her self-assurance on the court, and the energy she creates with each touch of the ball. Although Clark's on-court genius is obvious, the actual seismic shift is occurring away from the court. What are the thoughts of WNBA insiders on this new phenomena among rookies? Their comments may finally show how much of an influence Clark had on the team. As the Fever's present trajectory mirrors that of other great teams assembled through the draft, Sparks coach Curt Miller couldn't help but make comparisons, noting, "I have a good perspective and a good lens on how teams have built as he moved on." If you remember the aces from their time in San Antonio, you've seen them in action with successive draft picks. This is more than just lip service. It acknowledges a major change in the power dynamic within the league. Put it in your mind, after a rough patch, the Fever are now in 6th position with a record of 18-16. You guys are looking at playoff territory. The team's success was undeniably boosted by Clark, even though she wasn't the only one. She's influencing the franchise's culture in a big way, not just with her numbers. However, the most intriguing part begins at this point. We need to reevaluate our expectations for WNBA rookies in light of Clark's accomplishment. The days of rookies being required to do nothing more than sit on the bench and gain experience have long since passed. Rookies may take over and dominate from the get-go if they possess the correct mix of skill, work ethic, and basketball intelligence, as Clark is demonstrating. The focus here isn't solely on Clark though. As a result of her achievements, other young players are finding opportunities and teams are setting higher standards for themselves when selecting draft picks. As a result, everyone in the league is feeling the pressure to perform better. What do you think the veterans' reactions are?
The Caitlin Clark fans are out in droves. Clark with fans everywhere.
You can just feel the buzz and excitement.
Where Caitlin Clark notched the first triple-double ever by a WNBA rookie and the first in Fever franchise history.
It is pandemonium here, sold out once again for the Indiana Fever.
Rather admirably, in fact. Many seasoned pros, rather than being threatened, are enjoying the challenge. People are looking at Clark's achievements as an indication that the league is getting better and more competitive. It's about taking the game to the next level, not merely staying up. and aside, how the WNBA will evolve in the years to come. Clark's influence extends far beyond the current season. She's one of many rising young players who are changing the league's perception. These athletes are reviving the sport, drawing in new audiences, and changing the game as we know it. Do you recall when Miller brought up the Aces? You shouldn't dismiss that comparison so easily. Significantly, if Miller perceives parallels with the Fever's rise to prominence, it would indicate that the Aces had evolved into a dominant force in the league. It gives the impression that a new dynasty in the WNBA may be taking shape right now. Winning and losing aren't the only metrics. The more entertaining the end result is on the court because of Clark's playstyle, her talent for improving her colleagues, and her flair for the dramatic. And that's leading to greater interest in the league, greater media attention, and maybe even more funding for women's basketball overall. What is absolutely insane? This is only the first step. Even though she is only learning the ropes of professional play, Clark is already having an effect of this magnitude. Just wait till she's been playing in the WNBA for a while, a year or two, before you start to see her true potential. The buzz about Clark is much more than only his achievements. The significance of her role in shaping the league's trajectory is at stake. The skill pool for women's basketball is larger than it has ever been before, and she exemplifies how the gap is closing between college and professional play.